Good morning, afternoon, evening. Everyone, today I want to talk to you about something deeper than titles, positions, or paychecks. I want to talk about legacy, not just what you do while you're here, but what endures after you're gone. Because leadership isn't just about achieving goals, it's about leaving something behind that outlives you. A lasting leadership legacy is about impact, about influence, and about inspiration. You see, great leaders are remembered not for what they accomplished alone, but for who they lifted, who they empowered, and who they transformed. The question isn't just, what are you building? It's, who are you building? Are you creating a culture that breathes trust and resilience? Are you mentoring the next generation or hoarding knowledge out of fear of being replaced? Are you leading with your ego or with empathy? Your legacy is not built in a day, it's built daily. It's built in the way you show up during hard times. It's built in the values you live by even when no one is watching. And most importantly, it's built in the people you leave behind better than you found them. So when your name is mentioned in rooms you're no longer in, what will they say? Will they remember you as a boss or a builder, a manager or a mentor? Every conversation, every decision, every challenge is a brushstroke on the canvas of your legacy. Paint it with purpose. Because in the end, the greatest leaders aren't measured by their power, but by the power they gave to others. Leave a legacy worth following. Thank you. Too often we confuse leadership with the position we hold, the corner office, the job title, the authority that comes with it. But leadership is not about a nameplate on a door or the number of people who report to you. It's about the imprint you leave on people's hearts and minds long after the title is gone and the spotlight has dimmed. Positions are temporary, authority is assigned, but legacy is earned. Think about the leaders you remember, most the ones who changed your life, shifted your mindset, or inspired you to become more than you thought you could be. Were they the highest ranking people in the organization? Maybe. But more often, they were the ones who saw your potential when you couldn't see it yourself, who challenged you with kindness, who guided you not just with direction, but with vision. You see, a position gives you power over people, but a legacy gives you power within people. And that's the difference. One vanishes when you leave the room. The other echoes long after you're gone. Leadership tied to a position is fragile. The day you step down, retire, or get replaced, it ends. But leadership grounded in principle and people, that kind of leadership lasts. It lives in the culture you helped create. It lives in the people you mentored, the values you stood for, and the courage you modeled during adversity. So ask yourself, if I lost my title tomorrow, would my leadership still have weight? Would my influence still remain? The most powerful legacies are not built on control, they're built on connection. They're not measured by what you've achieved, but by what you've awakened in others. And when you understand that legacy outlasts position, you start leading differently. You stop striving just for recognition and start living for impact. You stop trying to be important and start becoming irreplaceable, not because of your title, but because of the transformation you create. Every leader has deadlines to meet, targets to hit, and strategic goals to achieve. The pressure to deliver results is real and is relentless. But here's the truth that separates great leaders from average ones. Projects may win you praise today, but people carry your legacy into tomorrow. Yes, results matter, but people matter more, because a finished project can sit on a shelf, but a developed person can go out and change the world. It's easy to get caught up in the metrics: productivity, profits, performance. But none of those things grow on their own. They grow through people. They grow through trust, communication, empowerment, and belief. The best leaders don't just focus on what people do, they focus on who people are becoming under their leadership. Think about the workplace like a garden. You can't just water the tasks and ignore the roots. If you don't invest in the roots, the people, nothing will grow for long. Investing in people means taking the time to understand their strengths, their aspirations, their fears. It means recognizing when someone needs encouragement more than criticism. It means mentoring, not micromanaging. The greatest leaders don't just ask, is the work getting done? They ask, is the person doing the work growing, evolving, and becoming better because of me? When you invest in people, you're not just meeting today's objectives, you're preparing tomorrow's leaders. You're multiplying your impact. You're creating a ripple effect that outlasts any campaign, initiative, or quarterly report. Projects may earn bonuses, but people build reputations. Projects get completed, but people become ambassadors of your influence. Projects have an end date, but people will carry your lessons, your guidance, and your example for a lifetime. So choose wisely where you spend your energy. You can hit every milestone on the timeline, yet still leave nothing behind. Or you can pour into people and create something that lives on long after the last task is checked off. Because in the end, the real measure of leadership is not how well you execute a plan, but how well you elevate a person. Ego is loud. It wants to be seen, praised, and obeyed. It craves control, recognition, and validation. But empathy is quiet, and yet it's where real leadership lives. In a world that often equates leadership with dominance, it takes courage to lead with empathy. It takes strength to say, tell me how you're feeling, instead of just do as I say. It takes character to listen with the intent to understand, not just to reply. Ego walks into the room and wants to be the smartest person there. Empathy walks into the room and wants everyone else to feel like they matter. The truth is, people don't quit jobs, they quit leaders. They quit toxic environments, emotional disconnection, and being treated like tools instead of humans. A leader driven by ego might deliver short-term wins, but they leave behind long-term damage, burned bridges, broken trust, disengaged teams. On the other hand, a leader who leads with empathy builds loyalty that money can't buy and creates environments where people don't just survive, they thrive. Empathy doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean lowering standards or avoiding hard conversations. In fact, it's the opposite. Empathetic leaders can still be direct. They can still push for excellence. But they do it from a place of understanding, not superiority. They challenge people while also making them feel seen, heard, and valued. And in times of crisis, when uncertainty is high and morale is low, it's not ego that brings people together. It's empathy. It's the ability to say, I know this is hard. I'm here with you. We'll get through it together. That kind of leadership doesn't just move companies forward. It moves people deeply. Leading with empathy builds trust. It creates safe spaces for innovation, for failure, and for growth. It allows people to bring their full selves to work without fear of judgment. And when people feel safe, they become brave. They take risks. They speak up. They shine. Here's the paradox. The more you lead with ego, the more people resist you. The more you lead with empathy, the more people follow you willingly, not because they have to, but because they want to. Empathy turns leadership from a transaction into a transformation. It's what makes people remember how you made them feel, not just what you told them to do. Legacy isn't something you stumble into at the end of your career. It's not a grand finale or a once-in-a-lifetime event. Legacy is built in the mundane, in the ordinary, in the repetition of right choices day after day after day. It's easy to show up with passion when things are exciting. It's easy to lead with energy when everyone is watching. But the kind of leadership that leaves a legacy is shaped in the quiet, unseen moments where no one is applauding, when the spotlight is off, and when the only thing holding you together is your commitment to who you said you'd be. Because the truth is, your people aren't watching for your perfection, they're watching for your pattern. They're watching how you respond when pressure mounts. They're watching if your words match your actions. They're watching how you treat the custodian compared to the CEO. And every single one of those moments becomes a brushstroke in the painting of your legacy. It's not the big speech that defines your leadership, it's the small acts of integrity when it would have been easier to cut corners. It's not the launch event that makes you a leader worth following, it's how you show up on the days when nothing is launching, but someone still needs encouragement. It's not what you do when things are going your way, it's who you are when they're not. Great legacies are not built on flashes of greatness. They're built on a foundation of discipline, dependability, and direction. Consistency is what builds trust, and trust is the currency of leadership. If your team never knows which version of you is going to show up, the passionate visionary or the short tempered critic, they will hesitate. And when people hesitate, innovation dies, culture cracks, and momentum fades. But when you show up with consistency and attitude, in values and effort, you create stability. You create a rhythm that others can lean on, a standard they can emulate, and a culture they can believe in. It doesn't take grand gestures to build a great legacy. It takes daily discipline. Discipline to live your values even when they cost you. Discipline to show up when it's inconvenient. Discipline to lead with excellence even when no one is clapping. Your consistency is your credibility, and your credibility is what people carry with them long after your time as their leader is over. Anyone can build a company. With the right funding, strategy, and structure, you can start something that looks successful on the outside: sleek offices, big revenues, impressive branding. But building a culture, that's different. That's deeper. That's where true leadership shows up, because a company is what people work for. A culture is what people believe in. Culture is the invisible current that shapes behavior when no one is watching. It's the atmosphere people breathe every day, how they communicate, how they make decisions, how they treat each other, and how they handle pressure. It's the unspoken answer to the question, what does it feel like to be part of this? Too many leaders obsess over performance metrics while ignoring the emotional climate their people are working in. But here's the truth: culture drives performance. If your people feel unsafe, unseen, or undervalued, it doesn't matter how smart your strategy is, your company will plateau, or worse, implode from the inside. Great leaders understand that culture isn't a side project. It's not just ping pong tables or motivational posters. Culture is created through consistency, communication, and character. It's in the way you respond to failure. Do you punish or do you coach? It's in the way you celebrate success. Do you take all the credit or shine the light on others? It's in the way you model boundaries, respect, inclusion, and integrity, not with your speeches, but with your example. Culture is how people feel when they leave a meeting with you. It's what they whisper to each other when you're not around. It's what new hires pick up on in their first week, even if no one says a word about it. And make no mistake, if you don't create the culture intentionally, one will be created by default, and it may not be the one you want. Because culture is always forming, always evolving, either by your design or by your neglect. The most unforgettable leaders don't just build empires, they build environments. They create places where people feel trusted, challenged, and cared for. They shape cultures where people don't just clock in and out, they come alive. And here's the secret: when you focus on culture, performance naturally follows. When people feel empowered, they work with passion. When people feel like they belong, they give more than they're asked. When people are led with clarity and care, they bring their full selves, not just their skill sets. So ask yourself, are you building a company people work at, or a culture people fight to be part of? True leadership isn't about how high you climb, it's about how many people you bring up with you. The ones who leave the deepest marks on the world are not just remembered for what they built, but for who they built. Mentorship is not optional. If you want to leave a legacy, it is essential. Because when the spotlight fades and your time in the role ends, the only thing that truly carries your influence forward is the people you've prepared to lead after you. It's easy to stay focused on your own path, your goals, your deadlines, your vision. But legacy minded leaders zoom out. They look around and ask, who can I lift? Who can I teach? Who can I believe in before they believe in themselves? Mentorship isn't just about giving advice, it's about giving access to your wisdom, your experiences, your failures, and your perspective. It's about creating a safe space for growth where questions are welcome, mistakes are seen as lessons, and potential is nurtured, not judged. And here's something that separates mentors from managers: managers protect their statuses, mentors share their knowledge. Mentors aren't threatened by someone else's rise, they're fueled by it. They don't hoard their influence, they multiply it. The leaders who mentor the next generation understand that their greatest contribution may not be what they do, but they empower others to do after them. Think about it. Every great leader you admire had someone who poured into them, who shaped their thinking, who challenged them to rise. Someone believed in them, stretched them, and made room for them. So the question becomes, are you doing that for someone else? Mentorship isn't always formal. It doesn't require a title or a program. Sometimes it's a well-timed piece of feedback. Sometimes it's just showing up and letting someone know, I see you. You're capable of more than you realize. Let's build it together. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing to walk beside someone, share your story, and make space for theirs. Because when you mentor someone, you plant seeds that grow far beyond your time. You create a ripple effect that may outlast your role, your organization, even your lifetime. You stop being just a leader in the moment, and you become a leader for generations to come. Titles are temporary. Influence is eternal. A title can get you into a room. It can make people sit up, pay attention, maybe even follow your orders. But influence earns their trust. Influence wins their respect. Influence makes them want to follow you not because they have to, but because they believe in you. And when your name is spoken in rooms you're no longer in, it won't be your title they remember, it'll be the way you made people feel, the example you set, and the change you sparked in their lives. You see, titles live on a business card. Influence lives in people's stories. They'll say, she challenged me to believe in myself. He pushed me toward my potential, even when I doubted it. They modeled integrity when it would have been easier to compromise. Leadership isn't about climbing the ladder just to stand at the top. It's about reaching back, extending a hand, and saying, come with me. I'll show you how. That's influence. That's legacy. The trap many leaders fall into is thinking the title is the destination, that once they get the corner office or the chief in front of their name, they've arrived. But the truth is, your real leadership begins after the title is given. That's when the spotlight fades and the substance is tested. That's when your values, not your vocabulary, start doing the talking. Because here's what people remember: not how many meetings you led, but how many lives you changed. Not how much authority you had, but how responsibly you used it. Not how loud your voice was, but how clearly your vision inspired them to grow. Influence is not about command, it's about connection. It's not about showing power, it's about sharing it. It's about using your position not to elevate yourself, but to elevate others. And the most powerful kind of influence, it's the kind that lasts when you're gone. When people still quote your words years later. When they lead others the way you led them. When your leadership becomes part of their identity. That's when you know you've made the shift from having a title to becoming a legacy. Leadership is not measured by how long you held a position, how many accolades you collected, or how much authority you had. It's measured by how you made people better, how you left places stronger, and how you showed up when it mattered most. You don't have to wait until the end of your career to leave a legacy. You leave it in every decision, every conversation, every moment of courage, humility, and compassion. Every day you're writing your story. Every action is a brick in the foundation of your legacy. So ask yourself not years from now, but today, what will people remember about me when I'm no longer in the room? Who am I building beyond what I'm building? Am I chasing titles or am I creating transformation? Because in the end, leadership isn't about being remembered, it's about living in a way that's worth remembering. And the legacy you leave begins with the way you lead right now.